G'day mates, in today's video I'm going to talk about all the big team swaps that have happened after FNCS, covering the big names like Clix and Deyy. Have they split up? Who are their new teammates? All of that. And it's not just Clix and Deyy, we have so many teams who played the Cash Cup today with different teams, and I'll let you know which ones are real, which ones are sticking, and which ones are looking good coming into next season. Also, I want to talk about why MrSavage got a ban warning for harassment and toxicity. It's a weird one, there's a lot to talk about, let's just jump into it. All right, let's start off talking about the new teams. Let's kick off with the biggest one, Clix and Deyy. Have they split up, and if so, who are they playing with? So firstly, the reason why we're talking about this is we did have the Cash Cups today. This is how we know about all these new teams, because they were forced to think, do I want to play with someone else? Because if you didn't perform yesterday, it wasn't like FNCS is over now, the season's over, and you have to wait a few weeks till the next season. No, we still had Cash Cups today, so a lot of these guys had to face whether they want to find new teammates, and it looks like Clix and Deyy might be one of those. So Clix and Deyy both played the NA East Cash Cup, and Clix also played the NA West Cash Cup, but they did not play the NA East Cash Cup together. And this wasn't because one of them was busy. It wasn't because they found new teammates last night. They both woke up today and both took to social media to look for new teammates. So it looks like they were pretty ready to not play together. I thought that might be it, done and dusted. Clix and Deyy have split up, but if you watch their streams, they both did talk as if they were playing with fills. They were playing with teammates that weren't permanent, and they did not mention whether they had split up. So I think this might have been maybe just testing out new teammates. Maybe they didn't want the whole community freaking out in case they were still going to play together. But if you look at the results, it's looking interesting. Clix and Threats managed to actually win the NA East Cash Cup today on 211 points, playing 8 matches, winning 3 of them with an average elim of 9.88 and an average placement of 9.88. So really consistent, solid Fortnite today. Meanwhile, Deyy did play with DGen and unfortunately didn't have as much success. They placed 1,339th, getting 94 points, and I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea from that. I'm not saying, oh, Clix popped off with a new teammate, Deyy struggled with his teammate, therefore Clix is better than Deyy and they should split up. That's not what that means. We've seen plenty of teams do really well when they first start playing together and then do terribly later in FNCS. Meanwhile, teams who first start playing together, who struggle, turn around and do amazing. And it's also a Cash Cup. This is an open Cash Cup. This isn't FNCS. And the biggest issue with this team, and we've discussed this on this channel and you've probably heard people talk about it, is Storm Surge. Clix and Deyy struggled the most as a team because of Storm Surge. A lot of people are saying that's because of Clix's IGLing, because he's just a new IGL or in-game leader. He doesn't know where to position for Surge. They don't know how to get their damage. A lot of people are saying Deyy just isn't very good at long-range Storm Surge tags, and he's used to taking big fights, and when they took their fights, that's why they lost. So there has been that conversation going around, and if you're struggling for Storm Surge, there's not really a better person you can play with on NA East than Threats. He has some of the most ridiculous aim, and if you watch the Cash Cup today, I think Clix had a much more fun time IGLing while having really good Surge going into endgame, and then just playing the endgame like he always does and dominate. They looked like a really solid team. Clix also commenting a few times on what it was like to have a teammate who communicates. There was definitely some benefits there, but I don't want people to jump on this. If Clix and Deyy haven't fully decided to split, one Cash Cup performance isn't enough to say, all right, that's it. You did amazing with Clix and you did amazing with Threats, drop Deyy. It's not that simple. Again, Surge is easier to get in a Cash Cup. The lobbies are easier to get, but we won't have to ask for much longer because Clix and Threats are going to play tomorrow or today, as of this video going live, in the set lobbies, and we'll see how they go in set lobbies, because that's going to be a bit more of an indicator of how well they do in an FNCS. You don't play with a teammate to do well in a Cash Cup, you play with them to do well in an FNCS. And again, just because Deyy struggled with DGen, I do think that could actually be a really interesting team for Deyy and DGen, but I don't know. I didn't watch too much of Dey's stream. Obviously the points didn't show too crazy. I think they could work out, but I don't know whether they're going to stay together. But Clix and Threats do have a lot more potential. We did have Clix tweet out the fact that he was potentially going to go back to a role as a fragger, so going to be the, not the IGL, not the one leading, but with Threats he definitely was still leading. I feel like Threats is much more vocal than what Deyy is. Almost every teammate is. Threats does like to kind of lead a little bit more, but ultimately endgame it was still Clix making decisions. It was still Clix tarping, so it looks like he hasn't dropped straight into that fragger role, and he was doing really well. So I don't know whether this team will last together, but if they do, they are looking very solid straight out of the gate. Obviously, Clix and Deyy were not the only team on NA East to split up. If you go through the Cash Cup leaderboard, it is just basically a who's who of new teams. I'm seeing Gold and Pledge, NPen and K-Burbs. I'm seeing Zypher and Shaw, Cobalt and 20. We're seeing so many new teams. Eomzo played with Taysom, which kind of confirms the fact that DJ and Eomzo have split up. They are looking for new teammates. Eomzo obviously not having been able to find someone today, but playing with Taysom and getting 11th place isn't too bad anyway. We do have the confirmation that Scoped and Magnolia have split up. It looks like Magnolia is now playing with Nani. Meanwhile, Scoped is now playing with P-God. Scoped and P-God did pull off a 29 elim win in their last game, but unfortunately couldn't clutch up the qualification. We have Cam and Booga. Now, I don't think Booga and Mira have split. It is not unusual for Booga and Mira not to play Cash Cups, or if they do play Cash Cups, not to play them together. We've talked about this in the past. It looks like kind of a strategy to just stay fresh, so that when they do play with each other, they're fully focused and they don't have any issues of, being around each other too much, frustrating each other, anything like that. Whatever you want to take from it, I would not see Cam and Booga as a sign that Booga and Miro have split up. I think maybe just wanted to play with someone else. Acorn Edgy still together though. We saw Rokane and Peterbot, which is crazy after Peterbot and Byler just won FNCS yesterday, but it looks like it's because Byler is focusing up for the console cup. We have the Champions Console FNCS starting tomorrow or today as of this video going live, which means that Byler would not have been able to play the day 2 duos, which means that I'm guessing he was like, hey Peterbot, just play with someone else. I'm going to focus on the console cup. Peterbot found Rokane. That does maybe look like Rokane and Joji then have potentially split up as well. There are some other big names who didn't play in the Cash Cup who also I think have split up based on just what we've been able to see on social media. It looks like we have Rise and Polarize now playing together. Paper and Nosh, Dukes and Users. This obviously has high potential, both being FNCS winners, but I'm not really sure how well they're going to gel together in the different roles. A team that I love to see, Blake and Tahi, who did actually make round 2 today. Obviously, Tahi not doing the best with Paper, not making it out of the semifinals and playing in grand finals. Blake made it into grand finals, but did have a lot of issues of Lawrence. Again, a lot of that was due to the drop spots with being contested by Rise and Threats. Clearly, Rise and Threats have now split up with Threats playing with Clix. So we have a lot of teams that look like they've split up, and I wanted to include them, but until we start to get official teams locking in, they're actually making tweets as their official team, we're looking at drop spots, we won't really know. And honestly, coming into the new season, it's also going to be hard to know who is just playing together for now and where they're going to drop when we could have an entirely different map and things could change up. We do know we do have duos as the next competitive game mode. Again, in case you guys didn't know, all of 2022 is duo FNCS. We are going to have duos as the main game mode, but it's kind of hard to fully cement who you're playing with when we don't even know what the map's going to look like. So I did want to at least include a lot of these teams, but I'm not sure how many of them are guaranteed to stick together. Moving on over to EU, and we had some equally big team swaps. Now, first off, straight out the gate, Vino and Aqua have not split. We had Vino playing in the Cash Cups today alongside Archie. If you guys have watched it all, it is purely for content. It is some of the best content when they're playing Cash Cups. Aqua just wasn't playing the Cash Cup today, so I wanted to make sure very clearly, if you watch Vino play today, he has not dropped Aqua after winning FNC. As far as we're aware, they are still together. The next one a lot of people are asking about is Benji and Savage. After not performing, a lot of people saying they should potentially split up. A lot of people really scared that they might split up because they weren't performing. Like I've been saying in my videos, they just don't seem to be enjoying the game that much, and that's probably why they weren't playing the Cash Cups today either. Benji and Savage, as far as I'm aware, neither of them played the Cash Cup, neither of them streamed them, and I'm guessing they just want this season to be over and done with, and then we'll figure out exactly what their plans are and what they're doing going into next season. I will talk about Savage a little bit later in the video about him getting a ban warning for harassment and toxicity. I'll cover that in a little bit, but we're not done talking about Savage just yet. Now, the biggest changes on EU appear to be with the French teams. Again, the French have been very, very dominant in Fortnite's history, usually getting pretty much a top 3, top 5 performance in every single FNCS in the past, but this FNCS, I think statistically, might have to be the worst performances for the French teams, and because of that, pretty much all of them are split up. At least the big ones have anyway. So the old teams, we had Antics, X Sweezy, DKS, Bad Sniper, Snazy, Podesai, and Deceptos, and Rezon. Obviously, Rezon not being French, but you know what I mean. Another one of the big teams having the French players, and it looks like we've had them kind of reformed together. We now have Andelix and Snazy, Voxy and Skyzoo, I believe that's pronounced right, and Egrim and Floki. So there are some other teams that are kind of formed together, and we're going to see how they look. We haven't really kind of had too much time to see whether they're going to perform. We only have had the open Cash Cups today. We will have the Cash Cup finals again today as of this video going live. If you want to come and watch and see how these teams go, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I will be doing a viewing party, but so far they've come out the gate looking pretty good as far as the French teams go. A lot of these ones have very, very good potential on paper, just haven't seen enough from them just yet. Moving on over to EU, starting off with the big one, the FNCS winners. Why was Vino not playing today with Aqua? It is not because they split. If you guys follow EU, you know Vino and Archie play together all the time. It is hilarious. Today was no exception, but I wanted to make it very clear, Vino has not dropped Aqua for Archie. Now, Benji Fishy and MrSavage, a team that a lot of eyes are on right now for whether they're going to split up after an underwhelming season, but they didn't play the Cash Cup today, and I don't think that's a sign of because they didn't have teammates, they didn't want to play it together. I just think they don't want to play it. I've been talking a lot in my videos. It's pretty clear to see Benji and Savage aren't enjoying the season. I think only one Cash Cup. They're happy to give it a miss and see what happens next season and then see what's going on. So we don't have any news of whether they're splitting up or staying together. It is not the last time I'm going to talk about Savage today, though. I will be talking a little bit later in the video about how Savage got a ban warning for toxicity and harassment, and we're going to talk about why that is. We're not done talking about Savage just yet. Now, the major team changes on EU came with the French teams. The French have been so dominant in Fortnite for a very long time now, pretty much getting like top 5, top 3s in almost every single FNCS, sometimes winning them, but this time they really didn't have great performances. I think statistically, this would be one of the worst FNCS we've ever seen from the French, and it's resulted in their team. So some of the massive old teams, Antics, Xweezy, DKS, Bad Sniper, Snazy, Podesai, Deceptos, and Rezon. I know Rezon not being French, but you know what I mean. Obviously, all having split up now. They just didn't perform as well as what they wanted to, and they've now formed some new teams. 3 of these actually making the Cash Cup finals today. We have Antics and Snazy, Voxy and Skyzoo and Egrim and Floki. They all made it through. We did have some other new teams play today. We had Podesai and Xweezy, Vov and Bad Sniper, DKS and Buzz, and Deceptos and Clement. They did not make the finals. Again, I don't know whether these teams are going to stick, whether they were just trying for today, but as far as the French teams go, some of them performing really well, but it looks like pretty clearly they have now split. Some of the other teams we've had split up as well. We now have Slove and Wox, Karma, Moneymaker, Kidduo and Cheatin. Also, there are some teams who didn't make the Cash Cup finals who started playing together. We have Kinzel and Savid. We have Nebs and Bubak, Shizo and Putrix, Stormy Ride and Toos, Gabix and Ryzen, and then Phoenix and Schmecky. Again, not sure how many of these are actually going to stay together, but they did at least play the Cash Cups today. But the confirmed teams we have that will be splitting by the looks of it, Kinzel, Nebs no longer together, Putrick and Toos, Kiriachi and Stormy Ride, and obviously it's hard when we're talking about the Russians because they had so much going on outside of Fortnite that we don't know whether the underperformance was because they're not playing well, they're just dealing with things way bigger than Fortnite right now. But it looks like Kiriachi and Stormy Ride may split up as well. Bubak and Fury, Savid and Yapko, Flixie and Kidduo all have confirmed they have split up. Now, let's have a chat about why MrSavage got on Fortnite today and had this behavior warning. Due to your recent actions, you have been warned for harassment. Please refrain from repeat offenses or you may receive an account ban. So MrSavage has gotten a ban warning for harassment. You're probably thinking, oh, what did he do? He must have gone crazy. He must have gone in. He was flaming people. He was going off on Donald Mustard. We don't know. We genuinely do not know. I responded saying, did you get any email or word on what it was for specifically? And he said, no, thumbs up. And again, my opinion that I want to state in this video was, seems odd to warn people for behavior without any indication what behavior stepped over the line. And that you can't warn people for doing something, but then not tell them what they did. I get it. Fortnite pros are not the most professional. A lot of them are kids, but you can't use that excuse when they're representing orgs, they're playing for millions of dollars. I get that. I am all for cleaning up how pros conduct themselves. I do like a bit of the spice. I do like a bit of the flame. I don't want to go too far, but at the same time, I don't think Savage would be someone that when pros think to as someone who is harassing other pros and being overly toxic. He had a pretty rough weekend. I'm sure there were times where he got frustrated, but you need to give an example of what you believe to be harassment so they don't keep harassing people. Because again, we'll have Fortnite pros say that player's terrible, they're awful, they're never going to qualify, never done anything in their life, and they'll go in. No warning. But now Savage has been given a warning. People believe it's because he said Malibuka was a trash can. I really hope that is not what we're going to draw the line at for harassment. And why Savage? Was this like, there are so many other pros, and I'm not going to go find clips and name names, that I watched play this weekend who were way more toxic and definitely did things that I would condone as harassment over what MrSavage has done. We just, as always with Epic Games, we need a bit of clear communication. Let's get an example of what's gone wrong so we can find out where the line is, because right now I'm as confused as the pros are. And again, they're a little bit toxic, they're teenagers. You're gonna have to give them a clear indication of you can't do this or you can't do that. Again, I would like to say Savage should just be less toxic, but again, I don't think Savage is an overly toxic pro, so I don't know what this was for. I wish I had better answers for you, but a lot of people coming to me and asking me, why was Savage banned? He wasn't banned, he got a warning, but we don't really know why. All right, guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.